for the Supreme Court and argued the case that gave us the same rights to sit in the same classroom as whites and enjoy the same economic privileges of being in the better schools. Well, yeah, we're going to find out a little bit about the fact that Carneghan used to be a schoolhouse here. But the other thing I hope they tell us is that the school books that we used when we could get school books were hand-me-down books from the white school. When they didn't want them anymore, when they were writing and could not be used any longer in their schools, then they got passed down to the African Americans. But Thurgood Marshall, he went to the Supreme Court and said, suffrage is not the same as equal. Because earlier they had a rule that said separate and equal was okay. But he said no, as long as it's separate, as long as the whites are going there and the blacks are going there, it will not be equal education. We will not have the same equipment, the same quality material, or the same quality teachers. And so, in 1954, he won the Supreme Court case. They ended segregation in America. We have to look over our shoulders, and when we do, we'll see that there was a Reverend King. We'll see that there was a Joseph Lowry. We'll see that there was a Rosa Parks who fought the civil rights movement in the 1960s that allow us to have some rights that we enjoy today. But also, we look over our shoulders. We'll see that even in this same community of McIntosh, there were those that was willing to fight and suffer and went through some things. We look over our shoulders. We'll see some Thurgood Austin, and we'll see some Professor DeVillis and some Professor Halls that suffered and created a situation where we can see a Professor DeVillis, a black man, an educated black man. The first time I saw a black PhD, I was 20-something years old in the Navy. But now our children can look and see black people in high positions all over the news and all over the history pages of our book. It was not always that way. And every now and then we need to look over our shoulder and remember the bridge that brought us over. And realize that we did not get where we are by ourselves. The right to live in neighborhoods we live in and go to schools we attend were won by the sacrifice of countless blacks that went before us. The heavy lifting has been done. The glass ceiling has been broken. But now it's our turn. My message to you today is your turn. We must realize that it's now our turn. Others have done so much for us, but now we must do something for ourselves. We must get to work to build a better future for ourselves and our families. It's our turn to ask the question, must our forefathers bear the cross alone and I go free? It's our turn to answer that question. It is our turn to say, no, there's a cross for everyone. There's a cross for me. We must realize that it's our turn to bear our cross. Our turn to win our rights to a brighter day. It's our turn to make personal sacrifice. Sister Porter, she's had her turn. She walked and she marched during her day. But now it's time for us, Mandela. Now, where's Elaine at? There you go. Sister Elaine, it's time for you to get your own marching sign and start working for a better tomorrow. It's time for us to start doing what we have to do, Brother Christopher in the back, so that you too can have your own rights. It's our turn to be responsible mothers and fathers and work together to train up our children in the way in which they should go. Yes, it's a sacrifice that we as mothers and fathers have to make, but we've got to be willing to make that sacrifice. Even our Sister Nell made the sacrifice and let her little children stay home so she could march for a better future for her children. We've got to be willing to make some sacrifices for our children so that they can have a better day. It's our turn to make some sacrifices. Our turn to do some things so Obama won't be the only black man that makes it, the only black person that makes it to the top. We need to make sure that our children also can make it to the top. Little Paul, we need to give him hope so that one day he can say, I made it to the top. We need to be able to have situations so Angel and Malik also can say, I'm a black person and the ceiling has been broken and I'm going to get to my own White House. We've got to be willing to make some personal sacrifices. Too many people are sitting down and singing, I'm next in line, but they're not doing anything. So many people want to sit down and just wait for the government to bring them things, wait for somebody to open a door for them. But we've got to be willing to knock down some doors so that we can get to what we're supposed to have. We cannot allow glass ceilings to stop us. We cannot allow us to stop us from getting to what God has destined for us to get to. We've got to be willing to work. We've got to stop saying, I'm next in line. And that's next in line means it's our turn to make a sacrifice. Our turn to work hard. Our turn to make the sacrifice to go to college. Our turn to make the sacrifice to burn the midnight oil. Our turn to go to work and work hard so that we can get the next promotion and move on up the chain. It's our turn. I come to let you know it's our turn to roll up our sleeves and go to work to make it happen. Because the world will not give us anything. If you're going to get it, it's going to be because of what you've done.